Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning in the old cookbook show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this cookbook sent in by a viewer. Thank you very much for sending me cookbooks. I really enjoy going to the post office, getting a box, and then rooting through it and finding new cookbooks and things that I've never seen before. And this one is one that I had never seen before. Now because it's in kind of bad shape, I'm just guessing on the dates based on some of the things that are written in here. So this could be anywhere from, I don't know, 1922 to 1924. It's kind of hard to tell. As you can see, it's fallen apart. Regardless, it's a great resource. It's put out by the Borden Corporation, makers of Borden's Evaporated Milk and Eagle brand condensed milk. And it's a mix of corporate recipes by Borden in order to advertise their products. And it's a mix of crowdsourced recipes. Borden was holding contests in 1923 and 1924, and housewives, their words, sent in recipes. And the winners got their recipes published in this book, and they also got a little bit of prize money. And so today we're going to do one of the prize-winning recipes, and it's for Borden apple cinnamon cake. And I have to be very careful with this book. It's falling apart. Every page has come apart from its binding, and the pages, when the book arrived, were out of order. Not a huge problem. In this case, I look at this book and I think it's a well-loved, well-used book. Whoever had this book over the years has gone back to it time and time again and made these recipes. And that's why it's, in such bad shape. Cookbook sitting on a shelf unused is useless. Take them off the shelf, use them, make the recipes. So in this bowl, I've put flour, salt, baking powder, and sugar. And to that, I'm supposed to rub in a little bit of butter. So you're supposed to rub that in with your fingers. Okay, I think I've got the butter rubbed into the flour, and all of the big bits are gone. It's rubbed in completely. And don't be afraid to use your hands to mix food at home. You don't need a glove. Just wash your hands. Wash before, wash after. So I've got that all mixed in. I'm going to wash my hands and we'll come back to the next ingredients. Okay, next up is the evaporated milk. So I'll just open up this can. Now you're supposed to mix the evaporated milk with some water. And the eagle-eyed among you will say, well, why couldn't I just use 2 cups of milk? You could. Definitely you could. But of course, this was a Borden cookbook, and they wanted you to use evaporated milk. That was really gloopy, wasn't it? Best before March 2021. We haven't reached March 2021 yet, so it's fine. But it was really thick, wasn't it? In here, I'm supposed to also put an egg. I think I'm supposed to put an egg. The recipe copy tells me to beat the egg in, but there's no egg in the ingredient list. So I'm hoping that it's only one and it's not multiple eggs. And I'm just going to take a whisk and we'll whisk this all together. This isn't Babish. Let's get a proper whisk. There we go. Now, before I mix the wet into the dry and activate the baking powder, I'm actually going to pare and slice these apples so they're ready to go onto the cake and we can get it into the oven pretty quickly. So just pare the apples however you would. I'm using ambrosia apples today, and they're pretty nice. They're sweet, but they stay super crisp even after they're cooked. And they don't turn yellow very quickly when you're slicing and paring them like this. So you don't have to put lemon juice on them to keep them looking nice. Okay, so I'll get these pared and sliced. And so back to why would you want to use evaporated milk in a recipe like this when you could just use fresh milk? In the 1920s, not all fresh milk was pasteurized. And in some locations, the fresh milk, especially in cities that were far from the dairy farms, the milk wasn't always safe. It didn't always arrive as fresh as it should be. And because it wasn't pasteurized, it didn't last as long. And so they really push the idea that this evaporated milk is always safe. It's gone through a process that makes it safe. It can sit in a can on your shelf You don't need to refrigerate it. And for a lot of people, that was a plus in this time period. Kind of like in parts of Europe, they have aseptically packaged milk in the little Tetra Paks that is shelf stable and doesn't need to be refrigerated either. So it's the same sort of idea here. This was seen as a health benefit. They were promoting healthiness for children. So, but today, I don't think you would really need to. You could just use milk. We've all got refrigerators. We know that the milk is pretty safe that we get from the grocery store. Okay, so I got this mixed together. It's about the consistency of a waffle batter rather than a cake batter or a cake dough. I've got a 9x9 and I've buttered it up even though it is non-stick. And we'll get our cake batter in there. Okay. Now, I have some coarse sugar in the raw and some cinnamon. And I'm going to mix those two together. And I've got little pieces of butter. And what we're supposed to do is put the sliced apples on top. And I'm going to attempt to arrange them artfully. Okay. Sprinkle on the sugar and cinnamon. And then dot it with some butter. Now this gets baked in a moderate oven for about half an hour. Now the recipe says to serve this with a little bit of whipped cream. So while the cake is in the oven baking, and it looks amazing, I'm going to make a little bit of whipped cream. I'm going to cheat because I'm going to use a siphon or an ISI. And I'm going to put in vanilla, which I guess technically changes it to chantilly. I believe chantilly is what it's actually called. So I have some superfine sugar, and I don't really measure. I put in a little bit. Every time it's different. I don't really worry too much about it. I'm going to put in a little bit of vanilla. And then fill with the appropriate amount of 35% cream. About that much. Put on the lid. And take one of the nitrous cartridges. And I always do 2 nitrous cartridges. So, charge this a second time, give it a bit of a shake, and stick it in the fridge until it's time to taste the cake. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
So we need forks.
Forks.
And this gets whipped cream on top.
Woo!
Because there's nothing better than cake with whipped cream.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Woo!
Okay.
Okay, so after a brief cleanup there.
We did a little bit of cleanup.
Let's try this again. There we go.
go.
That's a little better. Still not full of grace.
Okay, so this is Borden's apple cinnamon cake submitted by Mrs. N.J. McBride, Clarksburg, West Virginia. I don't think it's going to be that sweet. There's not much sugar in it.
That might be good. Apples are often sweet all on their own.
It's very moist. It's a really moist cake.
It is. So I think I might have added some actual cinnamon to the
cake?
but
Because there's nothing in it. There's nothing in the cake. It's so moist. Okay, that's a good cake. That's a good cake. But I think for today's taste, like you said,
I don't think it actually needs. I think I would put the apple in it and some cinnamon in it, and I think that's. I'm happy with the sugar level, but I know that most people would like a lot more sugar to it. But
and a little bit of the cinnamon in the cake. That's what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah. To meet 2021 expectations.
yes, Yes, but it's a lovely white cake.
It is a really nice cake.
Nice and moist.
Really nice cake.
So-
Okay, so I'm just going to keep eating it.
Thanks for coming out. We'll see you again soon.
Whipped cream in every bite.